Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Saints are in pads. LSU starts up on Thursday. We got a lot to do this week, and it starts off over the next couple of hours. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali are back there on the ones and twos. Is Les Miles a college football Hall of Famer? Should he be? Scott Rabelais rates that he should be. I'll give you my thoughts on that. Talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxnard at the end of this hour. My in-depth chart series continues. We'll talk defensive tackles. We also had a couple position groups that we did over the weekend that I'd like to talk about as well, so we'll do a little bit of that in hour number 2. Lots and lots to do. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis Opening Drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
As I mentioned, Saints training camp is underway, and they finally put the shoulder pads and helmets on together today. Full padded practice, first time. So now gets them at 11 on 11. You can see a little bit more, especially what the guys up front are doing. And so Kellen Moore met with the media after practice and had a few things to say. We'll talk first about his thoughts on the opening of how things go. We're going to get into a little bit of defensive line talk as well, which, again, I think you could see the quarterbacks running around a little bit. You could see their arm strength. You could see the wide receivers looking healthy. But as far as evaluating the guys on the lines of scrimmage, like, you're just not going to be able to do that until they put pads on and start going to work. I saw some really good footage of a one-on-one where Kelvin Banks had a nice win on a pass rush drill. That's really good to see. But the Saints defense, especially up front, has got to be significantly better. Last year, they were just a sieve against the run. They just could not stop the run at all. So you're starting now with today's practice and then moving forward and as we move on, looking at the Saints from a defensive line perspective, and Kellen Moore thought today was a good practice.
First name pads, it's a fun adventure in pads just for these guys. They transition back into it. I thought the intensity, the effort, really, really good. It was a really, really good practice.
Thought it was a really good practice. I'm also playing these because I'm trying to get a sense for what Kellen Moore's like with the media. Like, we had Dennis Allen was going to be pretty much a dial tone. Like, you knew that was coming. There just wasn't going to be a lot of juice there. Derek Carr was going to be super cliche heavy, generally speaking. So we're learning some more guys and their personalities with the media, just as an aside, but want to derive some information from it as well. So let's go to the defensive line. As I was talking about, what caught his eye the first day in pads?
I think it's always fun to see the trenches the first day of pads. I think our defense line just did a phenomenal job, engaging, beating everyone to the punch. Really physical battle between both sides of the football. I thought both sides had some goods and some bads, and that's the beauty of this.
I think as far as evaluating the defensive line, it's an interesting push and shove with the offensive line, right? Because on the defensive front, like, you've got Cam Jordan, who, you know what he is at this point. He's a back-end rotational piece who's had a marvelous career, but isn't a prime-time edge guy. You got Carl Granderson, who is potentially a prime-time edge guy. You got Chase Young, who is potentially a prime-time edge guy. You got Brian Brzee, who's an excellent pass rusher, is working on some things as far as the run game goes. And then you've got Devon Godshaw, who's new, and you figure is going to be run stopper for you. Colin Saunders. These guys, you know what that group is. In the offensive line, you're moving a couple pieces around. You've got Penning at guard, which is new, and you've got a new left tackle in Kelvin Banks. Plus, you got Tallahassee Fuaga moving over to right tackle. So there are more moving parts on the offense than there are on the defense. And I still think the offensive line's ceiling is higher, but the defensive line, I think, does have a ceiling. They certainly didn't reach last year, and Carl Granderson is a big part of that. And Kellen Moore talked about Granderson and kind of rebounding from what was a disappointing year statistically last year, starting with the first day in pads today.
Yeah, I think our edge rushers, it's just a really good group. And certainly what those guys are doing, Grando's, leading the way in so many ways. His physicality and his play effort stands out each and every day. And so we keep trying to highlight him as much as we can in the team meetings, because if he plays like that, special things are going to happen when everyone else starts playing that way. Now we're rolling.
As far as Granderson goes, like, you saw what he could be 2 years ago when he kind of emerged on the scene. It was a monster year for him as a 27-year-old. He gets out there, and he's just a force coming off the edge. He's able to rack up significant sack numbers and really just be a problem for edge players. And then last year, that just didn't show up. Like, you're talking about a guy who just did not play to his contract, I guess is the best way to put it. And so if you can see some of the things that show up this year that you saw 2 years ago, that's a cornerstone for a guy that, as I always say, like, could be on the next really good Saints team. I don't think this is the one, but he could be one of those guys. And Kellen Moore talked about what this scheme may mean for Granderson.
I think certainly, he's going to be able to play with some air out there and some wider techniques, certainly more often probably than in the past, and that's just the way different schemes present different opportunities. And so him playing out in space is going to be huge, but at the same time, he's still got to collapse the pocket. He's still got to close space in the run game, and that's all about physicality and effort. And so if he keeps doing this, keeps being consistent like this, he'll have a really special season.
You were seeing a build-up from Granderson starting in 2021 where he had 3 sacks. And then in 2022, he had 5.5 sacks. And then in 2023, 8.5 sacks. And then you're looking at this going, this could really be a 10 to 12 sack guy. Like, this could be a guy that could get up to 14, 15 sacks if he continues this ascent. And then last year, you saw that number dip to just 5.5. And the tackles for loss went down to just 9. So that's not the guy that you thought was ascending into his mid to later 20s. That's a guy they need to get going here. And so it's a big deal for him to be a factor on one edge, for Young and or Jordan to be a factor on the other edge, and then for them to be better than they were last year in the interior of the defensive line. And Devon Godshaw has kind of been brought in to do that. Now, Godshaw in his time in the NFL has not been a big sack guy. That's not what they're bringing him in to do. They're bringing him in to anchor the middle of the line next to Brian Brzee more often than not, and to help stop the run, which was just a nightmare for the Saints last year. And Kellen Moore talked about why Godshaw is probably a good fit for them.
Yeah, certainly we went through just the discussion of what the criteria is by position and kind of detail that out. We felt like we do have some good guys here who are still in place that can play that role really, really well. Certainly, Godshaw's one of the premier players in this league as far as playing one of those interior run-stopping spots. And so, we felt, we played New England. Every time we played New England, it felt like it was a battle to get anything going inside because of him. And so we were fortunate to get him.
I think Godshaw is a really good signing for the Saints team. It fills an immediate need. And I think you've got a young talent like Brian Brzee that you need to cultivate and you need to move on. And, you brought in 2 free agents in last year's class, but I just feel like they were bargain basement shopping signings. Like, Colin Saunders, nice player. Is he a starter for sure in the league? I don't know if I would go, not on a really good team. But Devon Godshaw is a starter in the NFL and has been in his first entire time. And he's just he's a pro. And that's a guy that I think Brian Brzee can draw a lot from. So it sounds like it was encouraging on the defensive front for the Saints in that first day. I still have a lot of confidence in the offensive line. That's going to be a strength for the Saints this year, I think, and on a team that's looking for strengths. I think the offensive line is that, and they got to put the pads on today and go to work. We'll talk tomorrow to Sharif and kind of see what he's seen out there over the last 2 days. We'll have 2 days in pads that he'll have seen by the time we talk to him tomorrow. But it sounds like the defensive front did a good job today, and that was the first thing that Kellen Moore wanted to talk about. So they've got to handle things a little bit differently in Metairie than they did out in California. You're dealing with humidity levels. You're dealing with 10, 12 degrees warmer. And this is early in camp where the Saints have had some issues with injuries. And this is Kellen Moore's first time running a camp. It's his first time handling an entire organization as opposed to just his offensive side of the ball and his quarterbacks. And you've got to handle things properly in South Louisiana in July and early August. Like, you just have to. And he talked about kind of building some recovery time into their practices day by day.
Yeah, the number one objective obviously is the recovery component of it. We have the coolers out here, which our guys can hop into. Hydration, towels, all the good stuff. Our training group and sports performance do an awesome job just getting these guys ready to roll there. And then the other part is just there are TV timeouts in games, and it's real. And so there is a component you have to train your body to sit there for 2 or 3, 4 minutes, kind of, bring it back down, and you got to bring yourself back up for the next period. And so it is creating a game-like environment as well.
I thought that was a reasonably insightful thing for Kellen Moore to say. I'm always looking for something that's a little bit different in a press conference. And for a guy that's never, now if you've been a coach for 15 years and you've talked to players and they've told you about the fact that they kind of sit, calm down, and you got to go back out there and ramp it up to 100 again, that's not something I ever think of. Now, I'm not out there playing in the NFL, but for a guy that's never coached a game before to have that in his back pocket, I think that's a reasonable thing. And I've been out at LSU practice for more than a decade. I know how brutally hot it is, and I'm not wearing any pads either. So it's something you've got to deal with. It's different here than it is for the Packers. It just is. So you've got to take care of yourself. And the Saints have got to stay healthy. That's something they've just have not been able to do for the last 3 years. And I'm not telling you it's because it's hot during training camp, but everything you can do to try to keep guys on the field, I think, is vitally important. So Saints in pads today, off and running there. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we'll start talking about it with Sharif Ishak on tomorrow's show for sure. Off and running here on the Hunt Palmer Show on this Monday. When we come back, this is not a segment I would do if we were to Thursday. Not a segment I would do next week, I don't think. More of a summer segment. But I wanted to go back and look at the 2023 College World Series and the products from that World Series, how they're performing in professional baseball. Not just LSU, because Skeens is lighting it up, but there was an unbelievable performance over the weekend from a guy who was in that College World Series. And I've got a bunch of names here, and it interested me. Just going to be a quick look around, but it was a loaded field in 2023 that LSU came out on top of. I'll give you some proof of all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I just wanted to take a look at this, and I can't even swear that I've gotten the entirety of the bracket, but I just went back and looked at the 8 College World Series teams from 2 years ago in 2023 when LSU beat Florida in the final, because I knew that there were some guys from that College World Series that were doing great things in the major leagues. I mean, Skeens leads the big leagues in ERA, in National and American League. He's got the lowest ERA in the big leagues. He's been the all-star starter twice in a row. You know Paul Skeens is a massive star from that College World Series. Cruz made it up within a year and a half and has been dealing with an injury this year, obviously. But the 2 guys from Wake that have made the most noise from that 2023 team are Rhett Lauder, who has thrown 30 and 2/3 innings this year in the big leagues. 30 and 2/3 innings, he's given up 4 earned runs. Remember him? Pretty good pitching matchup we got treated to in that Thursday bracket final where Skeens and Lauder just threw up zeros, and now they're doing it in the big leagues. Nick Kurtz, who actually missed the last game against LSU, had one of the great games in the history of baseball over the weekend. 6 for 6, 4 home runs, scored 6 times, drove in 8. He had a single and a double as well. To this point, through 67 games with the Athletics, Kurtz is hitting .309, which no one hits 300 anymore, hitting .309 with 23 home runs for the Athletics. Just a remarkable run in pro baseball for those 2 guys from Wake. Christian Moore and Chase Dollander from Tennessee, who was in that College World Series. LSU beat them twice. Both those guys have made their big league debuts. Dollander with the Rockies. He's been sent down. Christian Moore with the Angels. He scuffled there. Those 2 guys made it up. Dollander's got 52 strikeouts in 68 innings. Christian Moore has hit 3 home runs for the Angels. Jack Caglione is up for the Royals already. He's got 5 home runs, even though he's struggling from a batting average perspective. And Wyatt Langford got up as quick as anybody, and he was a starter on opening day for the Rangers and has 31 Major League home runs right now through a season and a half of big league action. Virginia was in that College World Series on the other side of the bracket from LSU. Kyle Teal is up at the Red Sox. He's hitting .276, which is very good. He's got an OPS plus of 114. I don't know how to calculate that, but I know that league average is 100. So if you're above 100, you're better than league average. If you're below league average. His OPS plus is 114. So he's having a good run there. Again, I don't know if that's even everybody, but we're talking about just 25 months from that College World Series, and you've got Skeens, Cruz, Kurtz, Lauder, Dollander, Moore, Caglione, Langford, Teal. I mean, that's 9 guys, and I'm not 100% sure that's all of them. But we knew when LSU got to Omaha, and you looked around and you saw the brands that you saw, that you were in for a monster amount of talent. Like Oral Roberts was there, and that's not going to give you anything. But everybody else, and that was on the other side of LSU's bracket, everybody else was loaded with dudes. And you're going to see Florida guys from that team get called up to pitch. And LSU's not done sending guys from that team to the big leagues. It would not surprise anybody if Ty Floyd and Tommy White made the show. And Grant Taylor started against the Cubs yesterday, even though he wasn't eligible. Well, he was hurt and couldn't play in that College World Series. I tweeted out a picture of that yesterday. But that's just, it was something that struck me, and I was writing about it as LSU's going to this College World Series in 2025. In 2023, you were getting the heavyweights. Like Wake was out of this world good. Florida was awesome. LSU was awesome. Tennessee stumbled out of the gate and had to shift their rotation around a little bit, and Dollander scuffled, and they put Andrew Lindsey up at the front. But you look at those dudes, and you saw Blake Burke, and you saw Christian Moore, and like they were churning through guys that were going to be big leaguers. And you knew that, even though they struggled a little bit early in SEC play. They had to go on the road, and they won a regional on the road, and they went to Hattiesburg and won the Super on the road. But it was going to be a star-studded field, and it was, and that's bearing itself out in the big leagues right now, where some of these guys not only are there, but they're dominating. I mean, I would suggest Kurtz is dominating. I know Skeens is dominating. I know Louder is dominated, and Teal's having a great go of it, and Langford's been awesome. But this past year, I think LSU caught a little bit of a break outside of Arkansas, and that's something that I will consider moving forward. Like, yes, when you saw the arms that Coastal had, like, Fluky is a dude, and that's a guy who would absolutely fit in the SEC, especially with the stuff he had on that Saturday against LSU. And Morrison had a great year and has a good arm. I don't know what his big league prospects are. He's got a decent chance to make it based on his 6'8" frame and the fact that he throws 96. We'll see. But that lineup that Coastal threw out there doesn't look like these guys. And UCLA's pitching didn't look like these guys. And that's something that I wrote before the College World Series. I was like, this is a fun College World Series because the West is represented, which I think is important because it's not 4-on-4 SEC, ACC. Like, you've got a little bit of variety here and there. You've got, a Louisville team that's hot at the right time, a Coastal team that's won 1 billion games in a row. Arizona went to Chapel Hill, got destroyed in game 1 of a Super, and then got through games 2 and 3 to get there. And they're a team that's won a championship this century. And, like, UCLA's got this sophomore class loaded with dudes. And Rock Chalowski may be the Golden Spikes winner next year. And, like, there are so many storylines there. But I do think, as I looked around, LSU's still bringing big leaguers to the ballpark. So is Arkansas in a big way. But is everybody else? I don't know. And ultimately, I do think that's interesting, but it makes the path to a championship a little bit more pavable. And I thought that LSU had a talent advantage significantly when they took on UCLA and certainly when they took on Coastal. Now, the guy with the ball is the most important guy, and that's why Fluky kept it really close, but ultimately, Cade Anderson was on the other side too, and he'll be a big leaguer shortly. But I watch a lot of big league baseball, especially this time of year when football's a little bit off and there's not football on TV and basketball's over. And, like, it's kind of a time where most people are not really locked into sports, but I am because I've got a big league team and I'm paying attention to the big league team. And I'm looking, and every day it seems like I'm like, oh, man, there goes Louder with a nice outing. Oh, man, there goes Nick Kurtz with another home run. Skeens dominated yesterday, just absolutely dominated in PNC Park yesterday. And hopefully Cruz gets back pretty quickly, and you notice Wyatt Langford pop up here and there. He's got prodigious power, and I don't think you've heard the last from Chase Dolander or Christian Moore in their time in the big leagues. I mean, they've got work to do because they scuffled in their first outing, first time up. But, like, that was a really, really historic College World Series, and we look at things like we've got more to pay attention to. I think every Tennessee fan can pretty much tell you everything about the 2024 College World Series. But we've got to worry about 2025 and 2023 and 2009 and 2000 and 97 and 96 and 93 and 91. Like, there's a lot of them that we have in our heads. And I don't want it to get lost that LSU in that 2023 College World Series, as star-studded as LSU's team was, the bracket they went up there and played was every bit as good as it could be. Like, it was absolutely dripping with talent. And I always tell you, like, I don't care. I would rather play Coastal than Wake Forest. Like, I don't need to beat the man to be the man. I'll play the easiest team you got that I can get a championship through. But that's on the front end. If I'm on the back end and I've already got the championship, I like looking back going, do you see who they beat? Goodness gracious. And that's fine on the back end. I don't want to necessarily have to run through the wall all the time. I'll open the door. But when you do run through the wall, there's a sense of accomplishment there. And we'll always look back on LSU's team very, very fondly in 2023. But I think that when you start to look more deeply at this, you realize what they did when they got there. And I look, Bill Franquez has been involved in every step of this program for 30 years. And he said, after the 2023 team won the title, he said, look, there's a lot of national championship flags around here. That was 7 at the time. And you can always have the discussion here and there and all that. I don't have a hard time saying what team I think was the best. And he says the 2023 team he thought was the best. I've gone in, we did this in like a What If Wednesday a few weeks ago, and people were like, well, what if they got into an Omaha-style bracket? Now there are 8 champions. What if they got into a bracket and had to play it off? And I told you there's a lot of variables there, and I'm not going to purport myself to be something I'm not. I don't know a lot about 91, 96, and 93. Like, I really don't know a ton about 97 either. That's just, I was really young. I was 9 for that. It's just a hard deal. 2000, I was in lockstep every step of the way. And then I was in school in 09, and then I have been here covering the team in 23 and 25. So my perspective on those is pretty good, but I can't do the early ones. But when you start to have the discussion and you go back and look at what they ran through and look at Langford and look at Caglione and look at Kurtz and look at Lauder and what's still to come, like Brock Wilkin hadn't made it from that Wake Forest team, and I think a couple of those bullpen guys have a chance to make it to the big leagues as well. Like that team's not done getting to the big leagues, like LSU's not done getting to the big leagues, but these guys have gotten there so fast and have shown already how ready they are to play in the big leagues. So that tells you just how good 23 LSU was. And it's crazy because we would kind of lump 23 in with 17 and maybe 13 and certainly 98 if Florida wins on that Monday. But you win and it reframes the entire conversation. And now you feel like you can lump them in with the best teams ever just based on the results of one baseball game. But ultimately, it's the entirety of the season, and then now you look at the talent level. That 23 team, something special. And every single week you look up at the highlights, and you see these guys doing it. And it's cool to see, and it puts a great perspective on the 2023 national champs from here in Baton Rouge. So quick diversion over to baseball. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but I just thought it was interesting and something I wanted to bring up here. Is we're still in the summer. LSU doesn't report to camp for 3 more days, so we'll leave that right there. When we come back, Scott Rabelais wrote a column for The Advocate that he believes Les Miles should be considered for the College Football Hall of Fame now that Mike Leach should be considered for the Hall of Fame, being that he was just a tinge under the threshold to make it percentage-wise. Les has got some stuff off the field that you got to consider with this, but there's a lot of stuff on the field as well. I'll tell you my thoughts on it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, but I highly recommend you go to the dealership for a number of reasons. The ambiance is phenomenal there. It feels like you're walking into a spa, from the scent that you smell to the sounds that come through to the little rock waterfall to the incredible coffee machine and awesome vibes that are in there and places that you can actually get some work done. They've got some partition places off that give you some privacy, but more than that, actually just buying the car. And the delivery portion of a car, you sit in it and you get shown all the features, make sure everything is properly to your liking, and you have one of their sales associates there to handle all that. But in July or August, it's coming up, if you do that, generally speaking, in a Louisiana parking lot, it's going to be 1,000 degrees and not a very comfortable experience. Well, that's why they've got a climate-controlled area right there in the showroom. They'll wheel your car right into it, so you don't have to deal with the elements. Maybe it's raining, maybe it's 100 degrees. You don't have to deal with that. They think about the details like that at Genesis. It's a luxury brand. It's a luxury experience to drive a Genesis. So get on by and see them if you're in the market for a new vehicle. They're on Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Luba Workers Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham coming up here in the next segment. We'll do some LSU football in the last hour, second hour of the show. Talking defensive tackles. Going to talk some quarterback as well. Did Saints to crank up the show today as they were on win pads for the first time in training camps. If you missed that, you can go check it out on demand. Wherever you find your Saints content, just Hunt on Saints. Scott Rabelais wrote a thoughtful column in The Advocate about Les Miles' College Football Hall of Fame candidacy. It was spurred on because Mike Leach is now eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. They reduced the winning percentage threshold from 60% to 59.5%. And that allowed Mike Leach, who was just under that 60% threshold, eligibility to be voted into the College Football Hall of Fame. And Les went below the 60% threshold due to the vacated wins between 2012 and 2015, as well as his unsuccessful run there at Kansas. And I'm not going to rehash Scott's column. It's excellent, and if you want to read it, you can certainly go to the Advocate's website and check it out. I just wanted, instead of going through Scott's column and using his talking points, I wanted to just say, okay, I understand what the premise of what we're talking about here is. Let me just think about this from my perspective, because I was certainly here for all of Les's time. His first year at LSU was my senior year of high school. So I've been basically in Baton Rouge for all of Les Miles' tenure, and I think it's an interesting case because you look at Les, and over the course of a 9-year span, which is not an insignificant amount of time, 9 years from 2005 to 2013, he averaged 10.5 wins. Averaged 10.5 wins over 9 years. And I wrestle with it because, like, candidly, I'll be dead honest. When I hear great coaches speak, oftentimes it makes me think, and I'm like, oh, that's bright. Like, when I hear Mike Krzyzewski speak, when I hear Jay Johnson speak, certainly when you hear Nick Saban speak, or you hear Jay Wright speak, or Bill Self, like, I feel like I hear a great public speaker. And I don't have another word for this, less at the podium, other than goofy. It just sounded goofy. It was hard to take serious. I sat in those press conferences, and I heard him do the hammer and nail bit. And I heard you throw your arms around and give a big hug and kiss on the mouth if you're a girl. And I heard the Memorial Day thing where it's presidents. Like, I heard all that. And I heard him say weird things like, is Colby Delahousie healthy to kick? And instead of saying, yeah, his leg feels good, he said, yeah, he gives great comfort to swing. And I heard him talk about a running back not fumbling and saying that he had a hand reminiscent of ball security. And I heard all of that. And it makes you take less seriously when you hear goofy things like that. It just does. And you see him eat grass, and it's weird. It was a weird time when he got in front of a microphone. And that's the persona. That's the Les Miles we know. And so you hear that, it takes away from the actual results. And I think time has come and passed where we have seen enough great LSU football and enough mediocre LSU football that wasn't competing for championships and wasn't winning 10 games a year. And you realize that you don't just luck into winning a ton of games. You don't. You can have the stars align and everything can happen, and you can put together one great football team at LSU because there are a lot of great players in state, and you've got Texas right there, and Florida's very accessible, and you can put a great team together. But if you just go over the wins and losses, I mean, listen to this. 2005, 11-2. 2006, 11-2. 2007, 12-2, national champs. 2008, 8-5. Obviously, the year the quarterback situation got away from him. And then 9-4 in 2009, but then he gets right back on the horse. 2010, 11-2. 2011, 13-1. 2012, 10-3. 2013, 10-3. It's an astonishing run, really. And you do have to give Les credit for putting those staffs together and for recruiting. Like, I work with guys who played for Les Miles. I work with Brandon Taylor every Saturday in the fall. I work with Marlon Favorite every Saturday in the fall. Hester and Flynn are in here every day. Jeremy Hill used to sit over here. And, like, I've heard these guys talk. And, like, yeah, they'll do a quirky Les impression every once in a while. Do it again. Like T-Bob. And they'll talk about some of the weird things that would go on at practice. But, like, you can't argue with the recruiting record and the wins and losses in that time. And if I would suggest, if you're just going to look at this from a wins and losses perspective, a results-oriented business, which really sports are, he would be a Hall of Fame coach because he won a national championship. He played for another one with a completely new set of players. And he consistently won 10 games. He did it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. He did it 7 times over the course of 9 years. He averaged 10.5 wins. He won the league twice. All-Americans. First-round draft choices. A national championship. Now, you can talk about what happened at Kansas, and you can certainly bring to the table the off-the-field concerns that have been raised since he left LSU. It's a big deal. And LSU would have to nominate Les Miles to be a Hall of Fame coach. Oklahoma State certainly wouldn't do that, and Kansas certainly wouldn't do that. LSU would have to do that, and it feels unlikely that any decision maker at LSU is going to be in a hurry to elevate Les Miles based on what came out after he left. There's some misconduct there that's hard to ignore. So I understand that piece to it, and that's what makes it complicated. We have these discussions in terms of the Baseball Hall of Fame all the time. And what happens off the field, what happens in terms of creating an advantage for yourself on the field, these morality clauses that come in are worth discussion. And if you want to stand here and tell me like there's no chance Les Miles should ever get into College Football Hall of Fame, I'll listen to that. I'm not here to tell you he definitely deserves in, because you've got a bunch of vacated wins for breaking the rules, and then you've got things that happened off the field that are cause for concern. So that makes it a cloudy case. But I do think that it's like anything. Once it gets further in the rearview mirror, oftentimes it gets clearer. And like while you were mired in the end of Les Miles, the 8-5 in 2014 and 9-3, and then the rough start in 16 that ultimately gets him fired, And then you see what happened at Kansas. Like, I can understand someone in that point being like, this guy just lucked into whatever he got in Baton Rouge. But if you want to sit here and say that he got lucky for 9 years, that's a tall stretch. Tall stretch. I'm telling you, bluntly, the guy in front of the microphone was hard to take seriously. But if you just pull up the record and you see how many times he's ripping off 10, 11, 12 wins, not a lot of guys doing that in college football. Doesn't happen a lot. Not a lot doing it for 9 years. You get a hot quarterback, you have 2 great years, cool. 9 years, averaging 10.5 wins, that's hard to just scoff at. It really is. So I stand pretty close to the fence if I'm not on it with this. I can see both sides of it. That's in my personality, for the personality test we do here at Guarantee. If you made me stand on one side, I would say he's not a college football Hall of Famer, but I'd listen to the case. I get it. Some issues that could be impossible to ignore. But so are the wins and losses to me. So it's a great column that Scott wrote at The Advocate. I highly suggest y'all go check it out and read it. Scott's got his thoughts on it. Ultimately, I don't expect anything to come of this because I don't think LSU is going to raise it. But we can talk about it on a talk show in the middle of the summer. And more than anything with the Hall of Fame, I think it's just, I wanted to come on here and make the point that I believe that because the end went poorly and in the middle of it there was so much of that nonsense at the podium, we probably don't look at the wins and losses like we should have. It was a really good run that Les had at LSU, a really good run. And if Saban doesn't show up across the way, people talk about it with Patrick Ewing all the time and Jordan being there. Just bad timing. Bad timing to show up when Saban was at the height of his powers. And at the height of his powers where the entire Alabama football program was locked in on you because they put their bye in front of you and CBS put it in the primetime game and game day was always there. And like, it was just, you were in their crosshairs for a long time. And that's a bad place to be. But it was a heck of a run for a long time there for Les Miles at LSU. That's my thoughts on Rab's column over at The Advocate. Go check it out at theadvocate.com. All right, we'll come back, close out the hour next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe, dream, believe, you gotta believe in the dream, believe, you gotta believe, my whole team on wild.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies. We've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability. Because your well-being is more than a priority, it's our purpose.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1 here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Of course, you know, the Saints put the pads on today. I saw Jay Kester posting earlier that his oldest is hitting training camp over at U High today. Football season is rapidly approaching, training camp underway all over the place. And with that, generally speaking, comes some injuries, just the nature of the beast. And it's our pleasure every other Monday to talk with Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxnard. He's the medical director of sports medicine, section head of orthopedic surgery. Gives us a little bit of time here on this Monday. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Hunt. Excited about football getting started and looking forward to some cooler weather this fall.
Hopefully so. It seems like it's a long way away now, but it'll get here eventually. Do y'all see an uptick in injuries as football cranks up here, especially when it's hot in the early going?
You know, I think there's always a bit of an uptick in the fall. Football is obviously a big part of that, but you have a lot of other sports going on. One thing I've noticed over the past several years, though, is because of the advent of year-round sports that we don't see it being as seasonal as it used to be. I mean, people are getting injured 12 months a year, but certainly football gets a little bit busier.
We were talking a little earlier, knees, one of your specialties over at Oxnard, and you were talking about a new procedure y'all have using sea creature. Can you fill us in on this?
It sounds like science fiction, but it's not. Yeah, you know, I think we're talking about the cartilage in the knee. And so when you bend your knee, when you walk on your knee, it's being covered by cartilage, and that's what allows you to move your knee without any pain. And there's a lot of these knee injuries end up resulting in damage to the cartilage. For many years, there weren't a lot of good treatment options out there. You may have heard of some things like microfracture. I heard, I think Jacob Hester on the radio one day talking about that. And so those are some things we've done in the past. And now there's a lot of technology. And one of the newest things we're doing is actually using coral that has been harvested from the ocean. And, you know, they did some science and they found out that if you implant that type of coral in the knee where there's a hole in the cartilage, that it actually stimulates the knee to grow cartilage back in that pothole, which is amazing and kind of crazy at the same time. But super exciting because I think it's going to offer some treatment modalities to people that maybe before just didn't really have a good option.
This may be a little bit too deep into the weeds, no pun intended there, but like, how do they even decide that that's something they want to try? Like, that seems like so far out of the box. Obviously, I'm not in medicine at all, but do they just try like just about anything?
Well, they don't try just about anything. It is kind of a fascinating story, and this just came to the market a year ago, but they've been studying it for like 15 years. And somebody found out that if you took a cartilage cell from somebody's body and you put it in a certain size pore or a certain size tunnel, that cell was triggered to start growing cartilage. And so somebody took that knowledge, which got published in a scientific journal somewhere, and they were studying coral, and they noticed that in this specific type of coral, that the size of the holes or the pores in that coral basically were exactly that same size. And so they started doing studies in the lab to say, if we put some cartilage cells in here, does that start growing cartilage? And of course, then they go through that process where it eventually gets to, the point where they say, is it safe? Can we do it in humans? Does it work in humans? So that's been going on like 15 years. And just recently has gone through all the clinical trials and now is commercially available.
That is that's fascinating stuff. Obviously, with injuries in the fall and football can come physical therapy on the back end of that as well. I know you talk about your walk-in clinic when we have a good chance to chat, and y'all don't need any sort of referral. You can just walk in, right?
Yeah, so one of the really cool things in Louisiana is they passed something years ago called direct access, and so the way what that means is as a patient, you can go see a physical therapist and you don't have to have a doctor's referral to a physical therapist. And so we've set that up at Ochsner too, because we hear from a lot of patients that are like, hey, I strained my hamstring. I don't really want to come in and go through the whole doctor's visit, or I don't know if I really need to see a doctor yet. I just want somebody to be able to kind of work on it. And you can do just that. You can go to find a doctor on Ochsner's website, and you can actually search out our physical therapist, and you can just schedule your own physical therapy visit. Don't have to have a doctor's referral. They'll take care of you. They're really good and trained at, knowing if there is something that needed to go to the next level of care, they would let you know. But in a lot of cases, you can just come in and manage that injury with them and not have to go through the hassle of trying to find an appointment that works, for your time.
Awesome stuff, Dr. Burnham. We appreciate some time. I'll let you get back to work. We'll talk in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
Hey, great talking to you. Thanks.
Dr. Jeremy Burnham at Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. At Ochsner Andrews Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Institute, we know that sports injuries can be unpredictable. One situation you can protect yourself from is heat illness. Some key signs to look out for include excessive sweating, dry mouth, dizziness, fast heart rate, or a change in mental status. If you feel any of those symptoms, stop physical activity immediately and find a place to cool off and replenish fluids. To learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/BRortho. Thanks to Dr. Burnham for a little bit of that. That's incredibly fascinating to me. We were talking before we came on the show, and to have coral put into the knee to help relieve pain and increase mobility and all that is just, it once again furthers the theory that there are a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me out there. Like I just am fascinated by what humans can figure out. I can't figure out anything. I don't know how to lock my door properly. And there are people that can figure out how to put coral into somebody's knee and make sure that they're able to function at a much higher level. That's craziness to me, but we appreciate Dr. Burnham for bringing that on. And certainly that's a big deal when you talk about heat illness this time of year. Got to be very, very vigilant about that, not only in football, but just in day-to-day life. And then, of course, the physical therapy aspect that he talked about there, where if you feel some discomfort, some pain, don't feel like you've got some sort of significant injury, just want to get it looked out, go to find a doctor at ochsner.org and get into physical therapy directly. You don't even have to go through the referral process of a doctor. So thanks to Dr. Burnham for making that happen here on this Monday. That's it for hour number one here. Fast-moving hour number one on this Monday. Like them that way. Kellen Moore met with the media after the Saints' first practice today in pads and had a lot to say about the defensive line. I mentioned that. You can find it wherever you find your sound at Hunt on Saints. So that's either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and certainly on YouTube as well. All of our Saints content funneled there every single day. Hunt on Saints. Just went a little bit into the research bin at 1:15 talking about the 2023 College World Series field and just how much those guys are excelling at the major league level. It's not just Paul Skeens. It's a bunch of guys from a bunch of different schools that have had great starts to their major league careers just 25 months after the College World Series in Omaha. So went down that memory lane and then talked about Les Miles, the potential college football Hall of Famer. Is he? I gave my thoughts. I'm probably going to fall short of that, but I understand the argument for sure. And you can go back and listen to some of that, and you can find it at Hunt on LSU as well. Hunt on LSU. All right, hour number two, heavy on LSU football. I've written a lot about LSU football over the weekend. Defensive tackles up at LouisianaSports.net today, so we'll get into a little bit of that after your national headlines at SportsCenter. Come back with us for hour number two on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years, 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You do something for 3 decades, you probably got it figured out. So that's the point that I'm making to you. If you've got a project in your bathroom, whether it's a simple tub-to-shower conversion or maybe a full-scale renovation, call the professional who's been at it for 30 years. Call the organization that's licensed, bonded, and insured, not the guy down the street who takes cash. Get David Vaughn and his team a chance to do it. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. I mentioned that tub-to-shower conversion. They do those all the time. If you don't use your tub, it's old, it's dingy, it doesn't function right, get rid of it. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic of your bathroom, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds some value to your home. You can get that free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything. A free consultation at OneBathAndClosets.com. That's OneBathAndClosets.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. After quietly battling bladder cancer for the last several months, Colorado coach Deion Sanders says today he recently had surgery and is now cancer-free. Sanders plans to coach the Buffaloes this season. ESPN has learned Cowboys offensive lineman Rob Jones broke a bone in his neck during Sunday's practice. He won't need surgery, but he's expected to be out 2 to 3 months. The first game of the preseason, the Hall of Fame game, Thursday night in Canton, Ohio for the Lions and Chargers. ESPN's Eric Woodyard on the impact of new Lions coordinators John Morton and Kelvin Shepard.
They're also just in the same DNA of what already's been built. So I think these guys definitely are demanding their respect, and they're also just not trying to change everything because they know they have the same pieces in place. So, yeah, definitely. I think these guys are ready. It's going to be a little bit of adjustment for sure, but it's not going to be as crazy as some people might be thinking either.
That's Eric Woodyard on ESPN Radio's Game Night.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, last year I told you the Dolphins would regret the Tua deal. A year later, I'll tell you why I was absolutely right. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Everyone has their own individual interests, right?
Yes.
I got a buddy of mine, I just learned this in the break, who is going to Utah this weekend and going up and down some mountain in Utah enough times to emulate climbing Mount Everest.
Wow.
I'm trying to come up with an amount of money you would have to pay me to do that. And it's astronomical. And I'm pretty sure he's paying to do it.
Some people seek adventure, Hunt.
I'm really proud of them, and I'm like, he's probably freeing up a golf course somewhere for me, so I appreciate that. Because everybody wanted to play golf all the time, I could probably never get on the course.
Yeah.
But that is among the last things on earth I would like to do. Run up and down a mountain a lot of times.
Yeah.
Does that interest you in the least?
No, not really. I don't really. Yeah, it's like, okay, even if you do go up and down it the certain amount of times that you would have required
it's a foot thing.
Yeah,
how many feet you go.
Yeah, and doing that to emulate climbing Mount Everest, it's still, even if it's the same amount of feet, it's still not going to be the same because it's completely different terrain.
Where do you stand on hiking?
I think it's pretty cool. I haven't done a lot of serious hiking, but the stuff that I have done, I have enjoyed. I mean, it can be a very scenic and really cool experience when you different views you can get. I do understand why some people don't want to do it because they just don't care to see that.
Don't care about walking through a bunch of sticks and stuff.
Yeah, I can understand why people don't like that. I can also understand why people do.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm not really going up and down a mountain just to climb the same amount of feet that you would for Mount Everest doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It makes me laugh. Like, to each his own. And Will's the man. I'm thrilled he's doing it and going to love it. Just don't ask me to go.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And also, while you're at it, don't ask me to go hiking either, because that's not going to happen. I will sit on the couch before I go hiking. So that's adventure and action sports for this Monday edition of the Hunter Palmer Show. Let's talk about defensive tackles. LSU last year at this time, if you looked at their defensive tackle depth chart, you would go, this is a problem. And then in week 2, Jacoby and Guillory got hurt, and it was a real problem. Now, they played admirably. But Gio Paez was kind of supposed to play on the end. He had to kick down a tackle. And you had to play Ahmad Bro immediately as a true freshman who was really an end when you signed him and gained 30 pounds and had to play in there as a freshman. And then McKinley got hurt and he couldn't play to start the season. And you had to kick Shand down there. And it was a bit of a mess in terms of the numbers. They played at, it wasn't a complete liability on the team, but it was not anywhere close to a strength. And it just was not anywhere close to what is a championship level of defensive front. They feel like they have addressed that to an extent. Gio Paez moves on for graduation. JVR Suggs transferred to Wisconsin. Kima Makaniole, who was offense and defense, he's out. He's at West Virginia. Jalen Lee transferred to UNLV. Demarion Johnson transferred to Southern. And then you brought in some new guys to add to Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Bro, Dominic McKinley, and Sean Washington, who's still here. You got Sidier Mitchell from Texas. Big boy, 6'6", 355. Big boy would be pretty underselling it. Bernard Gooden comes in from South Florida. He's more of an undersized, 6'1", 268, but very, very quick and active. And then you bring in 3 freshmen. Walter Mathis and Brandon Brown are in the 6'2", 290 range. And then Zion Williams comes in at 6'4", 360 pounds as the heaviest player on the roster. So you've got numbers. That's a total of 9 guys that you bring in that you feel like can play. I feel like the rotation is probably 6 deep, and I feel like it looks okay at 6 deep. I think that Jacobian Guillory and Sidier Mitchell are your big, physical, imposing forces at the nose. Like they are guys who are going to eat space. Guillory's 6'2", 318. Mitchell's 6'6", 355. Like these are strong dudes that are hard to move out of the way. Jacobian Guillory had a great camp last year. He was very noticeable in drills with the defensive line. He's the biggest and the strongest. He's never been a massively impactful guy. You're talking about a guy who's been here now for 5 years, and he's played 41 games and has 2 tackles for loss and half a sack. Like he's not a massively impactful guy, but there's a role there for him, and it's, hey, I'm coming downhill, and I'm going to make things a little bit difficult on your guard. And the same thing goes for Sidier Mitchell. He got some really positive reviews in the spring. And I didn't necessarily see a lot of that in the 11-on-11. We don't see a ton of that anyway. So if you told me Mitchell was a starter on this team and was a big presence in the middle of the defensive front, I would believe that. If you told me he got beat out by a couple of guys and was more like the 5th option, I might believe that too. I think it's something because he was at Texas for 2 years and didn't really play. I had the stats. He logged action in 4 games in 2023 and 5 in 2024. So he's not even an every week guy for Texas for 2 years. Now I know they put some guys into the draft, but it feels unlikely to me that he's blossomed into some sort of all-conference level player. Certainly possible. Happens for guys all the time. But it would be a big transition from what he was at Texas. But I think those 2 guys are the big space eaters. Then you've got the guys who might be playmakers for you. Ahmad Bro fits that profile. He's got an incredible motor. Kyle Williams has known him for a long time and coaching him at Ruston. He caught the coach's eyes as a freshman last year, having put on some weight and kind of learning a new position inside as opposed to more on the edge. But he's quick and he plays really hard and he can get into the backfield. And Bernard Gooden has been that dude really for over a year at South Florida. He made 10.5 plays in the backfield for South Florida last year, and his Pro Football Focus grades are great. Now, I give this caveat every time I talk about Pro Football Focus, but I feel like I need to because a lot of you are listening and roll your eyes when I say that. It's not the end-all, be-all, but they do watch tape, and more often than not, as I've gotten into doing the Pro Football Focus grades every Sunday after the games for LouisianaSports.net, they generally reflect what we saw in the game. Like it's not like I look at the grades and I'm like, where the heck did they come up with that? It usually is in pretty well lockstep with what we felt when we were watching the game. And Gooden's grades are really good. He had a high grade over 70 against Alabama last year. And he's undersized, as I mentioned. He's 268 pounds, 275 pounds. And he's quick and he's active. And he and Bro are that kind of defensive tackle. And then you got McKinley, who can really be anything. He can be a space eater. He can be a playmaker. He's got the size, speed, and quickness combination to be a lot of different things if he blossoms. And I think that's the main rotation that you're going to play. Sean Washington had some depth as a redshirt junior. Then you got the 3 freshmen. But to me, these are the guys that have got to play. It's got to be Bro. It's got to be McKinley. It's got to be Guillory. It's got to be Mitchell. It's got to be Gooden. Those 5 have got to be in there, and they've got to be impactful. LSU's best defenses have had great defensive tackle play. Going back to Chad Lavallee and Kyle Williams, of course, Glenn Dorsey, obviously. My guy Drake Nevis was awesome. And then you go to the more recent teams. Michael Brockers, Benny Logan was on with the morning show guys today. even a couple of years ago, in 2019, like, no, Tyler Shelvin didn't make it in the NFL as a star. He was a problem for teams in 2019 with his size and his quickness. Like, he was massive, and he could be disruptive as well. He played well on that 2019 team. So they haven't had that level of play at defensive tackle. Like, you had a couple of guys in Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith who were NFL draft picks and who have made rosters, and you would love to have them last year as opposed to them going to the NFL draft early. But you didn't have any depth behind them 2 years ago, and then the guys you played last year just were not all league type players. And somehow, some way, LSU's going to have to cultivate that. Now, it hurts when you've got a different position coach every single year with them. When you come in with Jamar Cain, and then you hire Jimmy Lindsey, and he gets sick, so Bob Diaco comes in to try to do it, and he's kind of out of place there, so you hire Pete Jenkins, and then you go get Bo Davis, and he moves on to the Saints, and you hire Kyle Williams. And like, that kind of instability just makes things really difficult in any position group. Not having the same two eyes and one voice in front of your meeting room ever for the course of 13, 14 months really hurts. But hopefully Kyle Williams puts an end to that. And you know that Kyle Williams has a style that he prefers. And he has said this. You've heard this from Blake Baker. You've heard this from some of the players. Like, LSU under Kyle Williams, and Blake Baker echoes this, doesn't want its defensive linemen to stand up and hold offensive linemen. That's not the way Kyle Williams wants to play. He wants to be disruptive. He wants to shoot gaps. He wants to get into the backfield. And so to me, that fits Bro and Gooden and McKinley a lot. Now, you need the big space filler at times. And you need that against the run, and Guillory and Mitchell look to be that dude. But I'm just curious how that rotation looks. I don't have a great feel for this. I'm not one of those guys that is going to get up here in July and even early in August and tell you exactly what the depth chart is going to be and bang my fist and go, this is the guy. Like, I'm perfectly comfortable sitting here and going, there are 5 guys I think are going to play. You could pick any 2 of them to start, and I'm not really sure what it'll look like. I'm not really sure. But it's something we should get a pretty good feel for pretty early in camp. Because what's been the theme with me going through this depth chart and talking about what camp's going to look like? I believe that this coaching staff, in an effort to be more prepared for week 1 than they have been, want to settle on a reasonable starting lineup pretty quickly in camp and get those guys to work together for more than just a week and a half. Don't let these position battles drag out for 3.5 weeks. They go 8 practices. You know what's going on. Let's get our guys ready to go. Look, that's what I think this team is trying to do, and I don't know which of these tackles is most likely to emerge from that group. But it'll be an interesting competition to watch. And without question, the play of LSU at defensive tackle will have a huge impact on what this LSU defense is. I think they're excellent at linebacker, and I think they've brought in enough talent at defensive end and corner to be much improved. Tackle is a wild card. If you told me Ahmad Bro was second team All-SEC this year, I would believe it. If you told me he got beat out and was the fourth team, the fourth guy on this list, I would believe that too. Same with Don McKinley. There's a lot of variance in what these guys could be, and their development, especially in August, getting ready for Clemson, is going to be massive. So if you'd like to read a little bit more in-depth in terms of statistics and some of those things, you can check out the in-depth chart series at louisianasports.net. If you were out last week and you're just kind of getting back in from vacation and kind of easing back in and want to get into football, if you go to our LSU tab on louisianasports.net, you go to teams and you go to LSU, every single in-depth chart piece that I've done is up there. I did center, I did guard, I did tackle, tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. It's all been done, and then now defensive tackle's up there. You can read as much as you'd like about the LSU football team over at louisianasports.net. Appreciate y'all for checking that out. All right, when we come back, Ronnie Rand's going to join us. They got a big night coming up for a playoff game, and a couple of headlining guests going to be out there from LSU baseball and LSU football. We'll tell you who next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Massive baseball in Milwaukee the next 3 days. Cubs and Brewers tied for the best record in the National League. Huge implications. Baseball's heating up. It's getting into dog days. And there's Texas Collegiate League playoff action here in Baton Rouge tomorrow. Baton Rouge Ruguru owner Ronnie Rance jumps aboard the Jim's Firearms Hotline to let us know about it. Ronnie, how we doing?
Man, we're doing pretty good. We're doing to the tune of 37-10. We're the Baton Rouge Ruguru this year during the regular season, first place champs in the Louisiana division and number one seed overall. And now we start the fun stuff. The real stuff begins. Playoffs this week, a 2 out of 3 series between us and the Acadiana Cane Cutters. Game 1 tomorrow night, 7:00 at the Gold Mine, Pete Goldsby Field, and then Wednesday in Lafayette and Youngsville at Faubacher Field. And if necessary, if there's a Game 3, it'll be back here in Baton Rouge on Thursday.
Tell us, you got some special guests coming out, it appears, bringing out the heavy hitters.
Yeah, we are. Stephen Milam, Monster Milam's going to be out there tomorrow night. He'll be throwing out one of the ceremonial first pitches. He'll also be signing autographs for kids behind the third base dugout. Behind the Ruguru dugout on third base side from 7 to 7:30. And then we also have BK, Coach Brian Kelly, going to throw on the Ruguru jersey and take a break from the football, Ponderosa for a little bit and come over and watch some baseball. And he'll be throwing out the first pitch. We also have the Cajun Ninja for you folks who like to eat some good food. He's going to be cooking up his world-famous pastelaya with his payao seasoning and selling that tomorrow as well, and many, many others. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Tell me about over the night of the weekend, Skip Burtman night. I know that was a big success.
So Skip's grandson, Ezra Pate, was a freshman this year in college on the East Coast, and he had tore up his knee about a year and a half ago, got his spike caught in the mound, and so he rehabbed and he got healthy in the late spring, and so he came down, lived with Coach Burtman this summer in Baton Rouge, and played for the Baton Rouge Ruguru, one of our 18 pitchers, and he had a chance to start and pitch on Saturday night with Coach Burtman at the ballpark. We honored him. We actually retired the number 15 jersey, so no one will ever wear the number 15 jersey again after this season. We put a big giant Burtman 15 10 by 12 foot sign on the wall at Pete Goolsby Field and did a ceremony before the game for Coach, and it was really neat. He had all of his daughters there. Coach Burtman's daughters were in attendance, a lot of friends and family as well, and he got a chance to watch his grandson throw 2+ innings against the Victoria Generals.
Awesome. Well, how are we feeling about the Ruguru's chances? Are we going to get a championship here?
We feel pretty good. The pitching is our strong suit. We've had some injuries a few weeks ago. We lost about 4 or 5 of our starters on offense, so we've kind of been, trying to figure it out offensively. Blaze Priester's had a really good year. The former LSU catcher now going to Southeastern. He's hit 290 with 8 homers and 50 RBIs in 47 games. That's doing something. And Blaze is having a good year offensively. Josh Shelley's having an MVP year at third base, hitting over 350. So they're our leaders on offense. Casey Artigues as well, and about 26 games is hitting around 360. He's been outstanding in left field. He'll be at Nichols next year. And but on the mound, it starts with Fabian Hernandez. He's been for 2 years our best pitcher. He's undefeated this year, 7-0 with a 1 ERA, and he's a pitcher of the year candidate. And then, Dylan Thompson's having a nice season, the former LSU right-hander. He'll be going to Blinn Junior College over in Texas next year. And then lastly, JD Rodriguez, who's a big right-hander from Tulane, California kid. He's had an outstanding season, been the pitcher of the week twice this year. He's been our third starter. So we feel pretty good about our 1, 2, 3, and that's the strength of the team.
Tomorrow, playoff action from Pete Goolsby Field, 7 o'clock. Stephen Milam will be throwing out the first pitch. Ronnie Rance will certainly be there. We appreciate a little bit of time. We'll see you out at Goolsby tomorrow.
Thanks, Hunt. Appreciate it.
That is Ronnie Rance, owner of the Baton Rouge Ruguru. You can go check that out. It's a lot of fun. Go out to Goolsby and watch some baseball. I've been fortunate to call some games over the last couple of summers with the Ruguru and looking for something inexpensive and fun and easy to do. It's a lot of fun. Go check out some Summer League baseball, play with a wooden bat. There's some real talent out there. As you mentioned, Blaze Priester's been at LSU 2 different times, and a couple other ex-LSU Tigers have had good summers there for Ronnie and company. We got a little bit of time here back, so I feel like we can talk about Happy Gilmore 2 while we're in the middle of this Ruguru segment. Did you have a chance to watch Happy Gilmore 2 over the weekend?
I did not get to watch it.
You did not?
Nope.
How many spoilers have you read?
I haven't seen any. I think I can probably guess what a lot's going to happen. there's.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Go ahead. Let's see how that goes.
I'm assuming there was some sort of reference to Will Zalatoris looking like the caddy from the first movie. I'm guessing Ben Stiller shows up and probably beats someone up.
Ben Stiller. There are a lot of cameos.
Yes,
I will say
yes,
that, and there
yes.
are a lot of Easter eggs from the previous one. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I kind of expected.
Yep, and I'm not going to give spoilers for those that want to watch it. I'll say this. Alyssa and I both enjoyed it. I chuckled out loud a few times.
Yeah.
It's not going to win any Academy Awards, as you knew. It was straight to Netflix for a reason. But they did, I think, what they needed to do. They gave you some nostalgia. They gave you some cheap laughs.
Yep.
And, it gave you some celebrities. And I think that there are some cameos that are really funny. And if you realize going in that you're not trying to watch a critically acclaimed picture, I think that it's a good 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean, I don't know how anyone would really even think about going in to watch that movie expecting to be some kind of, really just
Critically
awe-inspiring,
acclaimed.
critically acclaimed movie. That's not what it's not trying to be that, I'm sure, and shouldn't really consider it to be that anyway. But yeah, I'll probably watch it. I guess I might watch it this week, maybe.
Here's a teaser that's not a spoiler in any way. I was absolutely stunned like 70 seconds into the movie.
Okay.
I was stunned with one of the things they did 70 seconds into the movie. I was like, I can't believe they did that.
Wow.
After watching some of the promotion of the film.
Yeah.
Less than 2 minutes in, I was like, are you serious? So yeah, it's mindless, it's dumb, it's silly, it's zany, it's not believable. But that's Happy Gilmore. They had a movie about a guy who was a hockey player who drives 500 yards and won the tour championship. So yeah, some good stuff there. I thought they kind of handled it the way that it should be handled. So I'm not disappointed. I watched it. Will I watch it again? Maybe, but not anytime. I don't think in the coming days. All right, that's Happy Gilmore too. Quick aside there. Let's get back to sports. Talk a little LSU football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. The GV80 is their best seller. I got behind the wheel of one of those last week when I was over at Genesis, and it is awesome. I'm a midsize SUV driver, and that's exactly right in my wheelhouse. It was just a great vehicle to get behind the wheel of. And then you realize the perks that you get for driving it. You get just incredible warranties on it. You're talking about 10-year, 100,000 miles on the powertrain warranty. You're talking about 5 years, 60,000 miles bumper to bumper. You're talking about 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Not only that, complimentary valet maintenance. So get on by and ask to test drive the GV80 or GV80 Sport if you're looking for something a little bit sportier, a little bit smaller. They can help you out with that as well. Every single car in the line, every model, is an IHA top safety pick. They're safe. They're a luxury brand of vehicle at a reasonable price. And they're right there. Airline at PQ. The only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. Get on by and see them, Airline at PQ, or check it out online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system. in the nation.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Hope your work week's off to a good start. Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Been jam-packed, talking Saints football to crank things up. Got into some LSU football. Did a little baseball as well. A little detour to the Ruguru. And Happy Gilmore, too, in the last segment. Let's get it back on the tracks here with some football. I'm going to make this a hybrid segment because I wrote 2 pieces over the weekend for LouisianaSports.net in my in-depth chart series. And they were on the offensive side, the running backs, and the quarterbacks. And in short, I think LSU is in a great spot at both positions in terms of top-end talent. I think Garrett Nussmeier is a gifted passer, one of the best in college football. You look at last year, he threw for 300 yards 10 times. He had really high Pro Football Focus grades the majority of the season. We know the 5 quarters that sucked. Like, he was terrible in the second half against Texas A&M. He was bad in the rain against Alabama. I don't think he was terrible at Florida. I think LSU didn't play very well in that game, and the defense I didn't think was great. But, yeah, the Texas A&M second half and the Alabama game were his worst efforts. But if you look at the season as a whole for his first year starting, I thought he did a good job. And I think that he gives LSU every opportunity to do anything they want to do this year as a starting quarterback. And as far as running back goes, I mentioned last week that I think they're a little bit thin at running back. I'd like to have one more. But as far as the talent goes, like, I think Caden Durham can be the first team all-league back. Like, I think he's that talented in terms of his vision, in terms of his speed, his agility, his balance, which is the most impressive thing to me about him. I didn't know that he had that kind of balance until the South Carolina game where he was making everybody miss. I mean, he forced a significant amount of missed tackles last year. He made 6 South Carolina Gamecocks missed tackles in that game, which was his first real coming out party as a freshman running back. The speed we knew. You can turn on YouTube from Duncanville and see him running wind sprints in the state championship game and realize, like, this guy is at a different level in terms of speed. And you knew that from the track numbers and all that. But, like, he's a complete back. Like, do I wish he was 2 inches taller? Sure. But does he have to be? No. And I think he's great. And I'm not ready to completely dismiss Caleb Jackson after 2 years. I'm not. That may be foolish. There may be some of you that are. And I'll be the first to stand here and say he was completely ineffective last year. Like, he did not run the ball well. There are some concerns about his vision and some of those things, and I get all that. But I've still seen him, when a hole opens up and he knows where he's going, be big and fast and strong and a problem for teams to tackle. And I'm not asking him to be the lead back. Like, if Durham goes down, you are in a little bit of trouble, in my opinion. But if Durham's the lead back and Jackson's a change of pace that gives you 7 carries, I think those 7 carries can be really, really impactful, especially late in the game when teams are tired, because he is still 235, 240 pounds, and he is still a guy with track speed from a high school perspective. So I think he's a great change of pace. And then, what's Harlem Berry? He could be a breakout star. He could be kind of a third down option. He could be too skinny to play. I would put that as the least likely chance. I don't think he's too skinny to play, but he is slender at this current time. Like, he just off the high school field. But if they find a way to get him the ball in some space like they did in one of the spring practices we went to, he's exciting. He made like 4 guys miss on one play in the spring. That is where he's at his absolute best, and that's where you get the Reggie Bush comps. I don't know if Barry is quite that electric, but the style is similar to what Reggie Bush was, which is a little bit taller, a little bit leaner, incredible in space, can make guys miss, has acceleration. All that is in Harlon Barry's tool chest. And I think those are your 3 guys that you're going to go to battle with. I don't think JT Lindsey factors in too much right now. We'll see after Halloween. But those 3 guys are talented enough to be the core of a running back group. Absolutely. I think Durham can absolutely handle 20 carries a game. I think Jackson's good for 7, and I think Barry's good for 7 or 8. And that, to me, is enough ground game and should be a talented enough group to be productive. Here is one thing that I will harp on. I did in the spring. I'm doing it now. I will do it before the Clemson game. I'm not going to stop until we've seen a game. But this team is going to run the ball in a different way in this season than they did last year. Now, that did not suggest they were going to be way better at it. They could be. I hope they are. I don't know that. I know it's going to look different. They're going to do more misdirection. They're going to do more ball handling in the backfield where you got to kind of take an option and create some indecision for the linebackers. And they're going to use their athletic offensive linemen to get out and try to make some things happen. Last year, they were a little bit vanilla in the running game. They tried a couple of things. You saw them try the wishbone backfield with the 3 backs and a leaning fullback. Like, you saw some stuff. They're going to be more creative this year. And my hope is that Alex Atkins can help in some way. Alex Atkins was the offensive coordinator. Mike Norvell was calling plays, but he was the offensive coordinator at Florida State. He's an offensive line coach by trade. The running game is his deal. And he's coaching the tight ends at LSU. Hopefully he can help a little bit in the running game. And if that's true, like, they should be able to run the ball better. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to look like a classic Les Miles 2011 dominant rushing attack that no one can stop. I'm not asking for Caden Durham to run for 1,900 yards and 18 touchdowns. They're good enough throwing the ball to handle a big workload on the outside. They just need to function in the running game. And last year, they could not function in the running game. They couldn't. They were last in the league in rushing. LSU should not be last in the SEC in anything. Not as long as Vanderbilt and Mississippi State and Kentucky are still fielding football teams. You can't be last in anything. And they were last in running the ball. That's just unfathomable. And that's coming right off the heels of them being the worst defense in the league. Like, those things shouldn't happen. And to Brian Kelly's credit, they were the worst defense, and he went out and fired the whole staff and brought in a new group, and it looks pretty good on paper. And they should be much better on defense. They were a little bit better last year. They should be much better this year. They were terrible running the ball last year. They got to be much better this year. The issue that Brian Kelly's had in his time here is not that he's unwilling to change things or hasn't had really solid aspects to a team. It's that something is bottoming out too often. And you bottomed out on defense 2 years ago, and you bottomed out running the ball last year. And I don't think that's going to happen this year. It's a tough assignment week 1. But as far as if they can't run the ball this year, it's not going to be because they don't have a good enough stable of backs, and it's not because they don't have a quarterback that can't take some pressure off the run game. Like, no one is going to stack the box against LSU. No one. You can't. Nussmeier will pick you apart. So you should have an advantage in numbers in the box. You know that going into the season because you know how good your quarterback is. You know how good your wide receivers are. You know how explosive your tight end can be. And you've got talent at running back. They should be able to create some holes and find a way to run the ball. They just should. And if they can't, then shame on them. And I think that there's an issue with the scheme. I will probably never, in my time on this microphone and writing on the website, I will probably never have a great explanation for how LSU could have 4 offensive linemen drafted, have guys that have started for 3 and 4 years, on an offensive front that was completely elite in pass blocking. When you look at pass attempts and sacks, LSU's ratio was the best in college football last year. They were great, and they could not run the ball. I will never have a great explanation for that other than to try to suggest, yeah, these guys are just better at pass blocking than run blocking. But you ought to have such an advantage in the running game because you can create a numbers advantage because teams have to fear your wide receivers. They have to fear Chris Hilton's speed. They have to fear Barian Brown's speed, Aaron Anderson's productivity, Trey'Dez Green's matchup on the outside, Nick Anderson's home run hitting ability and size and speed. You have to fear all that kind of stuff. So you've got to play numbers back there. And the offensive line should be able to get a push for what looks to me on paper to be a really, really talented group of backs. And I think that at this point, unlike defensive tackle where I'm sitting back going, I don't really know if I can define these roles, I think I got a pretty good handle on what they're going to do at running back. It's Durham for 70, 75%. It's Jackson and Barry splitting that other 20, 25%. And they do that based, I think, on game situation. If you're trying to run the ball at a team in 4-minute offense this thing late in the game, Jackson's your guy. If you're probably throwing the ball a little bit more and you need a blow for Caden Durham, Barry can come in there and he can line up in the shotgun, go run routes, get the ball in space, and make people miss. So you've got both skill sets that you need, power running, electric in space, to go with your lead back. I think you've got the ingredients there to have very productive running backs. It just all boils down to the offensive line. And so much about this freaking football team as we get closer and closer to training camp, which starts here in a couple days, is just what is the offensive line going to do? And if they show up and they play well, it is a team that's going to be a force. If they don't play well, it's a team that's going to lose a bunch of games and come up way short of what they were projected to be. And every time I analyze a position, especially on the offensive side, I come back to if the offensive line's good enough. Last year at this time, you were saying, well, the offensive line's awesome. They got to figure everything else out. In college football, when guys come and go very quickly, generally the talking points flip on their head 12 months later. That's the case here. There's a look at your running backs. If you want to read more about them, including some numbers from Pro Football Focus, some production numbers, you can check that out at louisianasports.net. Our LSU content you can always find at Hunt Palmer Show and Hunt on LSU. Step aside one more time. Come back and close out this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. I think all fairly quiet in the tropics at this point, but we know that can change at almost a moment's notice. Make sure your property policy is written properly. John and the Carbone's team can do it. Well, how do I know if it's right? Well, just let them audit it. It's free. They'll take a look at it and make sure that everything's on the up and up. What are the exclusions? What's your wind and hail deductible? Is it a named storm deductible? Are your buildings properly evaluated? Okay. Is your business interruption limit proper? If you can't go to work, you're still going to get paid. You pay good money for those premiums. Make sure the insurance policy is correct. That's what they do at the Highland Insurance Group. Yes, they understand premium is so important to their clients. And they shop their multiple markets to make sure that you've got as good a deal as is in the marketplace. But you also have to make sure that it's correct. So if the only thing you've ever looked at is a premium, just contact the Highland Insurance Group and let them take a look. Jonathan Carver and his group are happy to do it. They're here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
One 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust want to make things a little easier on your budget by making your groceries for an entire year. And even if you don't win the grand prize, we're also going to be awarding second chance prizes of $250 gift cards to High Neighbor Supermarkets. It's the free groceries for a year sweepstakes, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust, High Neighbor, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Register now at 104.5ESPN.com.
Was the term making groceries ever said in your house?
I think is that more of a New Orleans thing?
Might be.
I think it is. I don't know if Cassie knows, but I feel like I've heard that before.
Making groceries?
My mama used to say it, but like nobody younger.
There was my sister's best friend's mom's from Lafayette, and she used to say "get down from the car," and it just struck me.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
think that's a 337 thing.
Maybe so.
It's interesting. You go throughout the state, and that's something we brought up at LSU all the time. Like wherever you're from, like the game. So the game that you play on the playground, where you line up and one person shoots and you shoot from behind them, and if they make it, you're out. What do you call that?
Put out.
Put out. Okay, that would be knockout for me.
Knockout.
But it
was
bump for a lot of people.
Bump.
Too.
Yeah, I know about bump too, because people. And I didn't know about that either, where you can bump the other person's ball.
We didn't do that.
That's I don't
think
knockout. Yeah, bump is. I don't like bump, man.
What do you put your school supplies in that you wear with the straps of your shoulders?
Your backpack.
Backpack. Well, there's book sack.
I've heard book sack.
It's just, and then I grew up with snow cone.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy, because I thought snowball was like a Louisiana state thing, but apparently not. I mean, I know Shreveport is South Arkansas. I'm aware. But snow cone is crazy.
It blows my mind that my friends from New Orleans, and Cassie probably does this too, say grammar school. Do you say grammar school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never said that.
That's elementary school.
Yeah,
No,
I never
it's
said
grammar
grammar school.
It's just crazy how that neutral ground and that kind of stuff, median.
Yeah.
Just depends on where you're from, I guess. We got any take it or leave it?
Let's see. I can come up with a few, I think.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling. Very good. Had a couple last night. Went to the pool with the Myers man. Had one at dinner as well. Just incredibly refreshing, light, and delicious. You're looking for a light beer. It's still got that beer flavor. Yingling Flight is your ticket. It's 4.2 alcohol by volume, just 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. It's the next generation of light beer. If you're looking for something to tailgate with this fall by the pool, at the lake, at the grill. There I was last night as well. Flight by Yingling.
Alrighty, first one here. I saw this on Twitter. This is pretty funny. I don't know if you saw it, but Nikola Jokic back in his home country of Serbia, and his horse, which is a racehorse over there, and the way they do their horse racing is pretty cool. They have the guys riding on the little two-wheel carts behind them. And anyways, Jokic's horse won. I'm not sure the significance of the race, but however, if you ever really wanted some real concrete evidence, if you didn't have it already, that Jokic does not really care about basketball very much.
He
was in tears after his horse won the race. He went and hugged it and popped champagne and picked the jockey up and everything. I mean, you could tell he was absolutely elated.
Which is nuts.
It is.
Because he plays basketball.
Yes.
Like, he's the reason they win.
Yes.
This is a horse running he purchased.
I'm gonna get to take the take it or leave it in a second, but I think this also, like, this to me, this mirrors Scottie Scheffler's, like, what he said for the Open Championship about the fact that the golf is not what he solely his life is for. Like, he has so many other things that he cares about, and golf is very important to him, but it's not the single driving force in his life. And I think Jokic maybe is the same way. Like, he likes basketball. Obviously, he's really good at it, but it's not the single thing that drives him. So I think that maybe is a correlation there. But Jokic crying with his horse winning a race. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I mean, you just bought the horse. You win the MVPs. You win the championship in basketball. Like, that should be the emotional thing for you.
Yeah, but I mean,
says he wants to win and he hates to lose. Jokic's like, I just want to go back home to Serbia. Like, it's just.
I think he probably has a little bit more involvement in the horse in terms of, like, even though I know he just bought it, but I'm sure he has some
he
conversations.
Pays the jockey.
Yeah, and he has conversations with the trainer, making sure that I see where you're coming from with that regard, but I mean, look, he cares about this a lot, so I mean, I'm not going to fault him for crying about it. I mean, it is maybe a little bit much. If this is like the Kentucky Derby of Serbian race, then maybe it's equivalent. Hey, look, maybe Jokic will start getting involved in some ownership in horses here. That'd be pretty interesting.
He's got the
He's
cash.
got plenty of money for it.
Jeez, NBA contracts.
Yeah. All right, last one real quick. Phillies Bryce Harper. I don't know if you saw this, but apparently they were having a meeting with Rob Manfred discussing the salary cap issue that will cause a lockout next year. But Bryce Harper told Manfred, reportedly told him, get the F out of our clubhouse, telling the commissioner to F off, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that. Apparently it got heated. Manfred fired back at him. I understand, like, where everybody's coming from here. I understand it all. However, like, I don't have any use for that kind of scene being done.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just... I just don't like treating people like that. Business people do it all the time. I understand there's negotiating tactics, there's intensity, there's millions of dollars on the line, all these things that I don't have any perspective on because I'm never in that kind of situation. But, like, it's not like they're trying to break the law or anything.
Yeah.
They're trying to regulate the sport and do what every other league in professional sports in America does. And the only thing that I draw from this is not that I'm on the player side or on the owner's side. I don't really have a side on that. I'm just grossed out that they are both are digging their heels in a big way, and they've been publicly declaring that there's going to be a strike or a lockout or whatever you want to call a work stoppage in 2027. They've been talking about it since 2023.
Yeah.
So this is going to happen, and we're probably going to miss. We might miss an entire baseball season, which is just devastating to me. I hate it. And they always say, baseball will never recover from that, and I don't know if that's true, but it's certainly not good. And I don't know what the result's going to be, but it makes me sad because I like this time of year. I'm so excited to watch the Cubs tonight. It's such a big game. They're tied with the Brewers. You got 2 months to play. You're in Milwaukee. It's huge, and I'm going to get none of that. In a time when the Cubs have a great nucleus to their team, you're going to miss maybe a whole baseball season.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
It does. I mean, and we've seen lockouts before. The NBA had a lockout not too recently, and the players they have the power. They are the star power. They are why people watch. So, especially in baseball, I mean, there's so much star power in baseball. So, I think we know where this is going to head. But yeah, it really sucks, and not a great way to handle the situation. Though that's it.
No,
take it or leave
just
it.
got to be a little more professional than that. But that's part of being a team guy and sticking up for your guys. is what it is, I guess. All right, that's it for me. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. More on Saints and LSU camp tomorrow. I'm out of here. Matt's going to drive you home from Houston on AFR. Same time, same place tomorrow for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales